Okay, please, if during the course of the video, if you can't see my screen or my voice, please let me know. So, this evening we are going to talk about Tailwind CSS. So, the topic is Introduction to Tailwind CSS. So, what is Tailwind? Probably you've heard it somewhere or you've seen it somewhere. So, Tailwind is a utility first, highly customizable and low level CSS framework. So, by utility first, what do I mean by utility first is that, I mean, that's the definition on the website. But what it does mean is that it uses uh, direct CSS, like it utilize the main CSS, what do we call it? Main CSS styles. Unlike Bootstrap, that's what I was trying to do. Okay, so probably you've seen Bootstrap. This way Bootstrap is. Bootstrap is like when you use Bootstrap or Material UI, their CSS framework too. So in Bootstrap, you see something like cards, components. Let's see. So let me see. Okay, this applicants edit. It's just I'm trying to okay. Yeah. You see Bootstrap now. When you have Bootstrap, probably when both Bootstrap and Tailwind CSS, they are both the CSS framework. But in Bootstrap now, just by adding card to a div, putting a class name card to a div, you have something like this already. So like you have a ready-made component that you just have out of the box. But Tailwind is not that. The way we have Tailwind is that Tailwind is just like a framework for just writing your CSS. You are not having any out of the box component right there. In Bootstrap, they give you something like card, you have something like carousel, when you put the class name, and you have box out of the box, out of the what's the called? When you put card, you have something like this already without any extra coding. So when you put carousel, you have something like this without any extra coding. But for Tailwind CSS, you have to write all these classes by yourself. You see, when you want to have padding, you put text. When you want to specify the width, you put width 24. When you want to specify the height, you put height. When you want to specify the margin, you put PT6. I mean the padding here. But unlike Bootstrap, when you just have a class that will bring in the components, so the meaning of Tailwind CSS being a utility first is that you just add class names and it's like you are putting the styles by yourself. It's not that they are giving you a ready-made component. So the uh, that's the meaning of utility first when it comes to definition of Tailwind. So highly customizable. We'll talk about the customizability of Tailwind. So, but it's highly customizable. You can write your own customized styles. So, and low level CSS framework. So, but the way you see it now, you might think, why with Bootstrap, I can just add one class name by just adding carousel, by just adding card. I have a whole card out of the box without any stress. But Tailwind, I will have to write margin by myself, background by myself. Is that not like Tailwind is kind of stressful more than Bootstrap? Well, we explain that at the moment because Tailwind is just as good as Bootstrap. So let's come to the advantages of using Tailwind CSS because If you hear any other framework, you have to know the reason why you are using that particular framework. So the first advantage of using CSS is class name L. Have you ever worked on project you have been like to put class name to I mean to style a HTML object, you have been like button red, you want to remember another class name. You most of the times you use like 2 3 minutes, a minute or 2 minutes to think about a suitable class name for a particular style. So one way or the other, that delays the productivity of the developers. So with Tailwind CSS, there's nothing like putting class names to your head. There is this general class that everyone uses. Whenever you see MD Flex, you know that this there is a particular thing that this is doing. Everybody, MD Flex and another place is doing the same thing. You don't have to be thinking of what class name would I give this now. Because when you are giving a class name, you have to think about a particular class name that relates well with the element that you are styling, easy to remember and easy to understand by other developers. And most of the times, it's not that easy to get a class name that fits those descriptions. When you're working in teams, there are a lot of rules around a lot of rules around using CSS classing. There are a lot of methodology like bench structure, but still it's still a lot of work trying to get a class name for the particular uh for a particular element. So with Tailwind CSS, there's nothing like we discussing the issue of class name anymore. The issue of class name is a button in the neck, but with Tailwind, we don't have to worry about that because we use utility first structure that we just state the class and it will style the element just by putting in the style of the element. So but the property we are stating just by highlighting these properties. So in the Go we know what each of these stuffs means. Yeah, and another advantage of Tailwind CSS is customization. We can write our custom styles. Right now we know that this P8, the meaning of it is padding 8, and it gives a padding of 8 rem. You know rem in units. So it gives a padding of 8 rems, and that's around, if I'm not mistaken, that's 16 pixels. That's 60 pixels. So, but if you want to write your own customs Tailwind style, so you can specify that, let's say P100 down. You can configure it to be whenever you put P100, it will mean a padding of 100 pixels. You can customize that for your own project. Let's say you have a unique project that you're working on, there is design for it, and there is this specific pixels that designer wants you to use, maybe 17 pixels. So you can specify your own, configure your own style that whenever you say P2, it's giving you 17 pixels. So that works. You can customize your own personal style in Tailwind CSS. So responsiveness, just like when you use Bootstrap, responsiveness is out of the box. With just a matter of specifying medium, small and large screen, you'll be able to do responsiveness out of the box. And another major importance of Tailwind CSS is the community plugins that you have access to. Later in this class, we talk about more in depth about customization and responsiveness. So let's get into demo. I will show you a demo of how to use CSS. So this is a simple, just an HTML file. So before you can use Tailwind, you have to install it. I mean, you have to configure it that I'm using Tailwind in this particular project. So there are many ways to install Tailwind. So you can use the Tailwind CLI, the PostCSS and frameworks. Tailwind is compatible with any framework that you can think of. Nest, Nose, anything you can think of. Tailwind is compatible with it. Then we have Place It There. Just like in Bootstrap. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bootstrap. Just like in Bootstrap, if you want to use Bootstrap, you can just use the CDN that delivers the content out of the box for demo or for little practice. We don't have to worry about installing and stuff. So for now we are going to use CDN. So, but if you want to work on a project that are going to push to production that will be live, so you probably use this Tailwind CLI. So you just install the Tailwind CSS and initiate it and configure your Tailwind. We'll talk about this later. So it's just a matter of following the steps and you have Tailwind running up and running. There was a time before that if you don't use npm to if you use npm to do some much more configuration, you can have Tailwind running. So we are going to use this CDN. There was even a time that it's only through npm that you can do some advanced configuration, but right now you can do all the configuration that you can do using npm also with this CDN. So let's copy this particular CDN link. So we have to paste it inside our head tag here. And so and that's all we need for now to start using Tailwind CSS. Right now we can start to use Tailwind. So let's see Tailwind in action at the moment. Just so let's say we have a div tag. So I have a p tag. So we have another p tag. Let's say another simple text. Yeah. Yeah, and so we want to start this using Tailwind CSS. So right now I'm just trying to do some flex. Let's say I want to use flex to start this. So Tailwind is just like ordinary CSS, but we are not creating another CSS file, putting in class in, just put the class, take class, so have the class. So when you want to do flex in CSS, you just say flex, let's say item center, just like I want to say justify content center. So let's see. So you see everything is in the center. So just by adding these two classes, I have this. So I can say I want to have it to be column, say flex column. See everything is tied just by this time. So let's see. I want to give this column. Sorry, let's say I want to give this particular H1 class. Give it a class also. I want to make it big. Test LG. See, it's bigger. Test 2XL. More bigger. Let's say we want to have uh, test. Um, um, so you can specify the size. You can specify the color. You want to put your own personal color that is out of the box color that they will provide. You can always put the parentheses and state the color. Let's say red. Have red. How we are styling it just by adding the class name. So uh, so say this p tag, we want it to have want it to be on the left side. I say self left, self start. See, let's say this as self end. If I want to do this in normal CSS, I'll give it this class name of probably I'll give it a class name or ID of container. I'll go to CSS, create a CSS file. Probably let me just create a CSS file to here I'll be like container display flex. I'll be like flex direction. You see this kind of CSS, I'll write like 5 lines of CSS. But here I'll just out of the box, just put these few classes and have my style being done without any problem. Say I want to give it border to see there is border there. I want to specify the border color, border black. It gives me the see very simple and it gets things done. Let's say I want to give it margin to the or empty to margin to I want to give it margin to the left horizontal to MX, it give it margin left and right. So very out of the box and I get stuff done without having to go to CSS and start writing the styles. I won't have to think of specifying a class names and stuff like that. So you know I said in the earlier slider, one of the advantages of Tailwind is customization. So let's see a customization in action. So let's say in an instance, the designer in my organization has put up a design. There is this specific color he mentioned that they are using. So I don't want to be always specifying the name of the color here. Let's say the color is F456. I don't know if that is this color. Let's say this is the name of the color. I don't want to specify this color every time I'm trying to add the color to text. So I can customize my Tailwind CSS to give me this color out of the box. How can I do that? It's a matter of putting a script tag. So I'll be like putting this script tag after this particular CSS script. I'll be like tailwind.config uh, tailwind.config is theme extend color. It's just a matter of copying this. And the if I want to specify the color to be Clifford, let me see. Let me see. Let's go. Yeah, let's see. Let's copy this. I want to use this color. So instead of putting in the color code all the time to specify the color, instead of doing this, by by just specifying the configuration here in the script tag, I've set this color. So whenever I want to use this color, I'll just be like test Clifford and it will give me the same style. For you to see, let me do it. It's black right now. So let's change it to Clifford. Clifford. So you see, and all the and if you want to change this to Clifford, so it's just by saying test Clifford. So and this one will change to Clifford too. So you see that you'll be able to customize. Let's say all the way the design is, the when you have I don't know if you have access to a Figma design, there will be a section where the designer will specify the fonts, the color of the whole website because there has to be a kind of uniformity. If you are using orange, you'll be using orange throughout. So you just copy the color that designer wants and specify it in the config here so that whenever you want to use the color, you just specify the name that you used to that you used to specify it in the configuration here. You can do this for all properties. Yeah, so we want to customize our style. We can always do it here in the theme, in this theme object. So it's the same way you do it when you use CDN. It's the same way you did when you use CLI, when you use uh, the npm install for React, for other frameworks. This is how you do it. You have this theme object, then you have the extent, then you specify the properties and that you want to customize. Then you can always use it in the your HTML structure here. So how do I get all these properties? How do I know that when I want to do flex, I put flex? So you can always come to the documentation at Tailwind CSS. Start just search Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS.com. You can always come here. So you can check the docs. And you can always cite the property that you want to. Let's say you want to use padding. Let's search padding. And padding. So you see padding, you can use, see, when you want to use padding 0 pixel, you can use P0, PX0, PY0, P20. So any properties that you want to specify, you just come to the documentation and search it for it. So anything, margin, anything that you can use CSS for, because this is literally we using Tailwind as we are using Tailwind. If you are using Tailwind, you are still using CSS. So it's just that it allows we don't have to worry about class name, and we have this easy to start framework from our HTML structure. So another important part of Tailwind is responsiveness. So let's see how responsive Tailwind can be. So let's say I want to have another div. So someone send the div. I have another div here. I want to have this. I have to div inside the div. So have it like this. So let's say this one I want it. I want to so on class. Let's say on mobile view. You know, when one of the principles of responsiveness is that you should always use mobile first. So the base style that you style like this, if you apply a style like this, it will apply for mobile, medium size screen, large size screen. So, but if I apply a style, let's say I apply grid, column two, column 2. So see, it give them equal size. See, it always just give them equal size. So let's now say on the I want to this to be equal on large screen. So so on medium on large screen, this is how I want it to be. To have equal grid. So but on small screen, grid I want it to be one to have to each div inside each child element to specify all these places. That's what this grid means. So if you are in VS Code and you are using Tailwind CSS extension, immediately over on this stuff, you see what this particular class is doing for you uh, in Tailwind. You see all the styles that normal how you style it in normal CSS. Immediately over on it, you see it. So it's very easy to. It's just like you writing the same CSS. So let's move to small screen now. See, immediately we move to small screen, it's each child element specify the host space, and we move to large screen. So see how responsive just with two class thing I made it responsive, and this is how you may do it. Let's say on the on large screen you want it to have BG black. You want to have it to have background of black on large screen. See, yes. Okay. You see, when we come on last screen, it's background change to black. So that's how easy responsiveness can be within the CSS, just by specifying the medium tag, LG tag. So it's become easier to do responsiveness with Tailwind CSS. So you can read more about the responsiveness part on the documentation responsiveness. So read more about it, how Tailwind go about its responsiveness. You can see when you say SM, this is what minimum which you are specifying. When you say MD, you are specifying 768 pixels, LG on this pixels. So that's a responsive design for Tailwind. So other thing, we have stuff like over. We have over in let's see, let me read it. Over in normal CSS. Over digital. So when I over it, I want to have background black. See? So everything that you have in your normal CSS, you have it in Tailwind CSS by just putting each class names. So another concept we talk about is, so I will talk about community plugins in later. So this is just a simple demo of how you might want to use Tailwind CSS for your own styling. So yeah, of course you can style more than this. Or virtually every property in CSS that I have in CSS is available in the Tailwind CSS just by providing all these class names. So you can use, so this is a simple demo to show you how Tailwind CSS works. So if you are using it in your browser, you can use this local in your VS Code also. Just put in the link. So, but when you want to push to production, so a website that will be live, and it's not really advisable to use this place there. You might want to consider using Tailwind CLI to install the Tailwind for HTML, CSS, HTML, CSS projects. So, but if it's framework, you just come to each framework, okay, whether it's Byte, React, Quick React App, anything. So you just come to so your best guide will be the documentation to specify your own use case. So that's what we have for the demo at the moment. So another thing that I might want to talk about is, you see, in this development world, when a new framework comes out, there will be debate on it. This one is good, Bootstrap is better than Tailwind. You see, people write article to tell you the disadvantages of one framework from another. So if you check many articles, most of what they say is the disadvantages of Tailwind are this one. Just this major thing. They will say Tailwind does not have components like Bootstrap. Bootstrap now, just by specifying card in your HTML, CSS, just by putting it like this, you have card out of the box, very fast, easy to use. Say, can Tailwind do that? That's why Bootstrap is better than that. Well, I don't know if you are developing. First of all, the fact that there is no uh, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. So, uh, that myth of that Tailwind does not have components that you can use out of the box is lie, because that's where the community plugin comes out. The way Tailwind works is that it doesn't give you one out of the box class that you can use to start designing, but it just give you class names that you can use your own normal CSS style. So, but if you want to use components just like Bootstrap, that will just put a single class in and to give you a component. There are many, many Tailwind framework. Tailwind is CSS framework. We now have Tailwind frameworks, or library may we call it. So we have something like Tailwind element, just give you out of the box. 500 components free for commercial use, even if it's not commercial. You have the official Tailwind CSS components. I think this Tailwind UI, the official one, they have some paid ones. So you see everything you can think of. Is it yes, hamburger? Is it anything you can even, these are advanced CSS design o. So there are ready-made components for you that you can just peep into. So there is a Tailwind elements like this. So this one works like Bootstrap. So let's see. get started. So it's just a matter of adding one line, this particular one, to add it in your configuration file of Tailwind, and then you can start using, let's say you want to use cards just like Bootstrap. Just come to cards, just by adding a single class of you see this one is just even pure Tailwind CSS right now. So let me see carousel. Yeah, so carousel. You might not want to start your own carousel. Carousel is a lot of work. So just by adding carousel indicators like this class name. So if you are in VS Code and use uh, put a cursor and you see the styles that this plugins is giving you. So out of the box, just by copying this code now, you have these carousels. So that beats the argument that Tailwind does not have out of the box component that people say. So there are a lot of more than this. I think if what I do is I want to say I will just say carousel Tailwind CSS. These are a bit because I don't want to use Tailwind component. So this is another one, Flowbyte. It's another Tailwind framework or plugin do we call it. So it has a lot of stuff that are customized already. Let's see. You see, you have dark mode, components, breadcrumbs, anything you can think of, you have those components available. So like Tiggy plugs this in now. So that's much more better than Bootstrap that So, and by using this framework, you can still use your own specified styles. You can still use your Tailwind styles. Unlike Bootstrap, if you are using Bootstrap and you are not comfortable with this card, most of the time as a front-end developer, your designer won't give you this card to push to production. Definitely it will be something more fancier, more bigger, more appealing than this. So you have to style more. What you do as Bootstrap is you add a class name, then you go back to that same old way of same old problem of class name. You start looking for a specified class name. Imagine you specify a style to give you card out of the box component, and you still have to override the styles and do your own styles. So for Tailwind, even if you are using the plugin like this, you can still add your own Tailwind styles that will still be effective on that would simply override the the plugin that you are using. So it's as that simple. So another disadvantages people uh, talked about is good CSS knowledge, because imagine someone as a back-end developer. You saw those full stack developer that are back-end developers that they just know simple HTML and CSS. There are type of people that are working on full stack projects. They like Bootstrap very well because they are not really concerned with the good look of the website, just want something minimal that will connect with their backend. So they always go for Bootstrap because they don't have a good knowledge of CSS. So they just put card, they have card. Just put alert, they have alert. They just put badge, they have badge. But if you want to use Tailwind, you see the way in this demo, I have to know the concept of flex in CSS before I can just start putting in first colon item center. I have to know that in CSS there's something we call flex, there's something we call item center, and I don't know, as a front end developer, which I guess most of us here are, you must be good with CSS. So that's not something you want to run away from. So let's say Tailwind Bootstrap is more useful for back-end developers that claim to be full stack developer. So, but as a front-end developer, it's like required for you to know to have a good knowledge of CSS. So that's not really a problem for me because it's not a problem, it's not a disadvantage for Tailwind. Like it's important to know CSS. So it's not like you have to be don't get me wrong, you have to be some CSS gurus, but you have to know CSS before you can use Tailwind. So this is the most interesting part and disadvantage that people talk much about is that we have noisy HTML file. I don't know, if you see some Tailwind's HTML files, everywhere will be littered with style, and you start to continue to style like this, you start another style. The class name can fill the whole screen like this, that it will look noisy. So but what do I agree with that the Tailwind might look noisy, but there are some stuff that we might consider when you want to how do I call it? I can so although the that stuff is true, but let's say there we have let's say we have the same p tag. Let's simple test. We have three of them. So we want to change them from being we want to change the font of the both of the you can just do this multi-line editor, control D, control D. So and then you start adding system style. So that's kind of a simple solution for that to avoid that stress of adding, changing them one by one. You want to change maybe this simple style now, it's having a font of 16. You want to change it to text large. So instead of typing text large in each of those p tag, you can always use this multi-line editing. It's available in any editor that you can think of. Just click on this, use Control D on multiple lines and you select all of them, then you can add the styles. So that works for that. So you don't have to worry about editing it one by one. So is that the question, right? Yeah, I get that. So Tailwind is mobile first, like that's the best way to go about uh, responsive design is mobile first. So and Tailwind adopts same thing. So when you specify a style like this the one that you specify without any responsive tag is the one for the small mobile screen. So if you now specify for MD tag for the medium tag, this medium tag will work for the medium screen and the large screen until you specify for the large screen. So the medium one will work for the medium and the large screen. So if you didn't specify any medium and large screen, the one for the small one for the mobile screen will work for the mobile screen, medium screen and large screen. So that's how mobile responsive design works, mobile first responsive design. So even in normal CSS, how you are expected to do responsive design is that you start with mobile. All the style that you write without any media queries, they will be for the mobile view. Then you now have to specify media queries for the medium screen. Then we put in the styles for the medium screen. Specify the style for the large screen, the large screen I mean. Then you point the style for the large screen. This is the same method, the same way Tailwind does the responsive design also. I hope that answered this question. Yeah. So you should keep that in mind if you are developing even pure CSS application using pure CSS. You should do mobile first, then you specify the media query for medium screen and media query for large screen. It will be easy to scale stuff up like that. So is there any other question? So I'm supposed to cover accessibility also with Tailwind, but I think the time won't be enough. So probably in coming class we cover accessibility. So definitely I might not be able to cover I'm not even able to cover everything that Tailwind does, but this Tailwind documentation is all you need to for your Tailwind has a very easy learning curve. If you are using Bootstrap is not even hard to learn also. You just have to come to documentation and say you want to do cards. But Tailwind, in a matter of using it in one or projects, you won't even have to come to the documentation to before you start using Tailwind because you know that when you say well, for me now, I'll just be like, when I do text 2x, I know that that's text 36 pixels. So when I do text large, I know that because I've used it before, I know that this text large means a text of this size. So when I do text, I mean P2, I know that means padding 4 because I've do something like that. I know that these two meaning that this padding, the P means padding. So these two mean like 4 pixels. So I have 4 padding pixels. So if I use P PX2, I know that this PX means padding on the horizontal level. So when I push 2, I know that It's giving me a horizontal padding of 2 pixels. So what is this? So you can see that. So by it has a very easy learning curve because it's the same CSS. You easily get adapted to it within the first project. Before I started using Tailwind, I was like, Tailwind is not good also. I don't even like it. But there's this project they were using Tailwind and there's no going back after this Tailwind. It was the first day that I started using it, I know how to use it. I just started the project and because it was very easy, it's same CSS, I started using it. I didn't have to watch a separate tutorial on Tailwind or stuff. You don't have to it's just a matter of coming to the documentation and searching the property that you want to use. You want to use background color, you want to use anything you can think of, search it and you see how they write it in Tailwind and you start using it. But if you think you don't really get it, you can always watch some tutorial on YouTube. But really, if you know CSS already, it's just a matter of doing a couple of search on documentation and you are ready to go. Yeah. So I hope that explains it. I'll stop presenting now.